Hi, welcome to our channel. This video is about a movie story recap. If you like and appreciate what we do, please subscribe, like and share our videos. Thank you.
A group of researchers led by Dr. Michael Morbius, Jared Leto, make their way to a cave in the jungles of Costa Rica. Morbius moves closer to the opening of the cave, cuts his hand, and then holds it out as a swarm of bats begins to fly out of the tunnel, attracted to the blood on his hand. The remaining men quickly make their way back to their helicopter. In Greece, 25 years earlier, we witness a young Michael, played by Charlie Shotwell, living under the care of Dr. Emil Nicholas, played by Jared Harris, since Michael suffers from a blood disorder. Michael calls the new patient Milo, because the previous patient at the facility had the same name. The new patient's name is Lucian Joseph Essen, but Michael calls him Milo, because of the previous patient with the same condition. Following some conversation, Milo's machine begins to malfunction, and he later passes out. Michael fixes the mechanism with a spring taken from a ballpoint pen in order to bring Milo back to life. Nicholas is completely dumbfounded by the challenge at hand. After some time has passed, other children torment Milo by making fun of his illness and kicking him while he is on the ground. Back in the present, Morbius is nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize in Sweden, but he decides against accepting the award and instead continues with his job. Anna, a young girl who suffers from the same condition as he does, is currently being treated by him. Morbius is accompanied in his aspirations by his girlfriend, Dr. Martine Bancroft Adria Arjona, who also plays a role in the series, who believes that he is pushing himself too hard. It is also reported that Milo, who is currently portrayed by Matt Smith, is the beneficiary of their project of mixing bat DNA with human blood, as Morbius believes that this can cure his illness. He went into the cave and retrieved the bats that were needed for the job. He uses a lab rat to test his serum, and the rat appears to pass away. A few moments later, Anna begins to experience seizures, but Morbius is able to treat her in time to prevent her from having a stroke before the episode is through. When Martine returns to the laboratory, she finds that the rat has been resuscitated and is now moving, indicating that Morbius' serum was successful. Morbius travels to see Milo and Nicholas in order to secure additional financing for the continuation of his experiments that are being conducted on a ship in international waters. Since the time when Milo was a child, Nicholas has been taking care of him. Morbius and Milo have developed a close sibling-like relationship, but Morbius is making it seem as though it is of the utmost importance that Milo assist him as quickly as possible before it is too late for both of them. Martine and the other crew members are brought aboard a ship by Morbius for the next part of his experiment. During this stage, Martine will give Morbius the serum that she has created. Following the completion of the treatment, Martine is troubled by a grumpy crew member when it is discovered that Morbius has become unrestrained from the straps that were holding him in his chair. Morbius strikes the man after they discover him crawling on the ceiling where they are. As more mercenaries arrive, Morbius, who has now transformed into a vampiric monster, launches an assault on each of them and savors the taste of their blood as he does so. During the struggle, Martine is rendered unconscious, and as Morbius regains his humanity, he watches himself attacking the men on the surveillance cameras. Martine dies as a result of the incident. In order to conduct an investigation into the crime scene, FBI agents Simon Stroud, played by Tyrese Gibson, and Al Rodriguez, Al Madrigal, are called in to assist. Martine was discovered to be alive, but Morbius was nowhere to be found when the Mayday call was placed. The events are also brought to the attention of Milo and Nicholas. Morbius locks himself up in his laboratory in order to continue researching his new disease and appease his thirst by consuming blood samples taken from other patients. He begins to refine his new bat-like powers, flying, super speed and strength, and faster reflexes, and the bats in his lab begin to listen to him as their leader. He is able to fly. Milo later finds him just as he is beginning to relapse into his monster state, but he is able to bring him back under control with Milo's assistance. After learning that the serum was successful in curing Morbius' illness, Milo expresses an interest in obtaining some for himself. However, Morbius declines this request because he is aware of the potential risks involved. After some time has passed, Morbius makes his way to the hospital where Martine is currently staying in order to check on her. It wasn't Morbius who attacked and killed the nurse, the vampire creature that did it was something else. Morbius ends up trying to run when he learns this information, but he is quickly arrested and sent to a jail cell. Just as he hears this information, Stroud and Rodriguez appear to question Morbius. Morbius is questioned by Stroud and Rodriguez in his cell before being visited by Milo a little while later. Morbius comes to the conclusion that Milo took the serum for himself after he forgets his cane, and that he was the one who was responsible for the death of the nurse. Morbius transforms himself into a vampire, makes his escape from the facility, and then watches as Milo also transforms into a vampire and murders a human being at a newsstand. After being located, Milo makes an effort to persuade Morbius to come with him so that the two of them can indulge their newly discovered appetites and powers. Milo is pursued by him into the subway, where the two of them end up falling and crashing in front of numerous people. The police arrive to arrest Milo, but he kills every single one of them instead. Milo makes several attempts to capture Morbius, but he manages to evade capture by using the tunnels. Morbius locates Martine after she is discharged from the hospital and discusses his condition with her. He tells her that he must maintain control of his need for blood in order to avoid the same fate as Milo, who gave in to his hunger for it. Later, he discovers another lab that is operated by imposters and drives them away so that he may continue his work and create a substance that will cure him of his vampirism despite the fact that it will ultimately kill him. Milo walks out to a nightclub, where he winds up stumbling into a confrontation with an antagonistic individual. Later on, he chases the man and his buddies down an alley, where he ends up killing all of them. Later, he watches Morbius working with Martine and watches as the two of them kiss. When Stroud and Rodriguez discover the bodies of the clubgoers, they watch the security film and see Milo's face. This leads them to the conclusion that Morbius is not the person who killed them. When Nicholas hears about this on the news, he decides to pay Milo a visit and talk to him about it. However, Milo counters that Nicholas has always regarded Morbius as the favored child. Nicholas is the target of his assault, which leaves him in critical condition. Morbius has one final encounter with Martine, during which he is informed of what has transpired with Nicholas. He arrives at his bedside just in time to be with him as he passes away. After some time has passed, Milo, who has Martine in his custody, calls him. She is eventually reached by Morbius, but not before Milo inflicts significant damage on her. She gives him permission to take her blood so that he can find Milo, but while he is doing so, a drop of his own blood accidentally slips into Martine's mouth. As Morbius prepares to battle Milo, he gains strength and capabilities. He calls forth his bats and uses them to encircle Milo, which provides him with the opportunity to approach his brother and inject the compound into him. Milo is about to pass away when he suddenly recalls that Morbius was the one who named him. Morbius does not abandon his brother as he nears the end of his life. While Martine seems to reawaken as a vampire, Morbius suddenly takes flight and disappears into the night. During the credits, we witness the opening of the multiversal rift that was established in Spider-Man: No Way Home, and Adrian Toomes, played by Michael Keaton, is sent to this reality. After being set loose on the streets, he searches for and eventually discovers his vulture costume in Morbius. He tells Morbius that Spider-Man is involved in whatever is going on, and he wants Morbius's assistance in putting together a squad that would pursue Spider-Man. He says that Spider-Man is involved in whatever is going on.